Fortnitemares 2022, like Epic kind of dropped the ball. I'm honestly surprised at the lack of content, and I think a lot of you guys are too. When we first got the October crew pack teaser, we saw like chrome zombies and everybody was like, oh man, that sounds cool. Oh, that's sweet. Like, I hope they add that into Fortnitemares. And then come to wake up today and find out that there was no major update for the game. Like, when we get Fortnitemares, it's supposed to feel like Halloween came to Fortnite. Now, we got some feelings of that, right? Like, okay, the candy's back on the map. There's a few different POIs that do change and have more of the Halloween kind of feel to it, and we did get a couple things back, like the pumpkin launcher and the new howler claws, but it's not really enough. And I hate saying that because I don't want to be super negative towards Epic and Fortnite. I appreciate the effort and the changes that they made this season, but I just feel like this was a very obvious thing to do, and they kind of dropped it on us. Like, why didn't we get zombies? Why didn't we get anything related to the cubes? Why didn't we get the broomsticks or any major loot pool changes? Nothing. This is basically the same base game that we've had since the season started, but you gave us candy and a pumpkin launcher and some claws. And you know, after thinking about this for some time, it made me think, what did Fortnitemares do in the past to really be exciting? And then I also thought, what was my favorite Fortnitemares event ever, or Fortnitemares season? And on this channel, I've told people multiple times that my favorite season was Chapter 1, Season 6, which coincidentally just so happened to be the very first real Fortnitemares event we happened. The year before was Fortnite's first year out as a game, and there wasn't like a really big crazy event, but I would say that the first real Fortnitemares event was Chapter 1, Season 6. So what I decided to do was to fire up my PlayStation and get some really old gameplay from back then, and I wanted to see what did the game look like, because I completely forgot. After watching it, I now understand why this was my favorite season of Fortnite. I found a specific game of me and my boy Terrence playing from back then, and from the jump, early on, you can already tell the vibe is different on the map. There's even a point in the video where I said this.
I'm not gonna lie, the zombies in the game makes this way harder to play.
But see, here's the thing, it wasn't just the addition of zombies that made the game interesting at that time. We also had the shadow cubes and infinite glider redeploy stacked on top of each other. I guess what made the game feel different back then is that there were different layers to the game that were all coming together to make one cohesive theme, and the game felt solid and complete. It doesn't feel like that this season. Like, the Chrome doesn't really play much of a role at all in Fortnitemares, and you really think that it would. You know, a lot of us in the theory community were thinking, man, what happens if the Chrome comes into contact with the cubes? That'd be really interesting to see, like chromed cubes. They've definitely had a connection in the past, but we're not gonna get to see any of that this season, I guess. But going back to that OG footage, it just showed how the different elements that were being applied to the game at the time created different strategies. Like, when Terrence and I are sitting here waiting for a supply drop, we use the shadow cubes to stay invisible just in case anybody were to come by and pull up on us. So we're literally standing right out in the open, but totally invisible. That's cool. This was peak Fortnite. This was the best time, in my opinion, to play the game. And if you were not there, I am so sorry. Because, man, I can tell you from first-hand experience, those were the freaking days, man. But, you know, part of me started to think as well, maybe this is our fault. Maybe the reason why Epic didn't put a lot of these cool things in was because we complain too much. I know for a fact that over the years, a lot of people have complained about zombies being on the map. When they are there, they can be pretty annoying, especially when you're in intense battles with people. They'll come in, break down your builds, and just ruin the experience, but I like that because it adds a different dynamic, changes up the meta, and makes it more challenging to play. But not everyone feels that way, and so maybe after all these years, Epic finally listened to the community and said, nah, you don't get zombies. And if that's the case, that's our fault. The community is what holds the game back to some degree. Epic will make decisions based upon how much people are complaining, and then when they take certain things away from us, we complain again. So it's like, what do you want us to do? I don't think people really know what they want Epic to do, and that's sad because Epic does put in a lot of effort into trying to make this game as fun as possible. But I think there's a lesson to be learned here, and that's to be appreciative of what you have, because when it's taken away from you, you definitely feel it. The presence of Halloween on the Fortnite map feels kind of lost right now, and it's sad because I think we were the ones who kind of pushed it away. It's funny because Chapter 2 Season 8, in my opinion, was one of the worst Fortnite seasons that we ever had, because it just felt like Chapter 2 Season 7.5. But looking back on it, I think I'm a little bit more appreciative of it than I was back then, because what we got this year is nowhere near as fun and as exciting as what we had last year. Chapter 2 Season 8 definitely shook things up with the loot pool, the zombies, the witch broom, all of that, and it made it a more pleasurable experience and a more interesting experience when playing on the map. And look, I don't want to be a downer on Epic. I appreciate them for everything that they've done. I still think that this season in general is fun, but I am starting to see a noticeable difference in quality compared to previous seasons. With that being said, there's an even bigger lesson to be learned, and that is Fortnite will never feel the same again. But what do I mean by that? Well, if you subscribe to the channel, I'll tell you in my next video, but until then, why don't you check out this one up on the screen right here, which talks about what Fortnite's biggest problems are currently and how you can fix it. I love you guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.
Oh, go get him! 1v1!
It is?
Yes!
Dude.
Oh.